Amidst the ongoing Palestinian incitement over the Temple Mount Jerusalem, Palestinian terrorists firing 3 more rockets into southern Israel on Friday, and this for the third night in a row, with previous attacks landing in southern Israel and damaging a civilian home. Then on Friday, 2 rockets landing in open Israeli fields and another landing back in Gaza near an UNO school in Bet Hanun, the missile lightly injuring 1 passerby. But rather than the expected IDF airstrikes, as were seen in previous nights, Israel closing the pedestrian crossing with the Strip, effectively meaning economic sanctions against Gaza, as tens of thousands of Gazans holding work permits to cross into Israel daily. And Israel's security forces saying the checkpoints will only reopen pending security assessments on Sunday. Further, in the event that the rockets continue, the IDF reportedly still ready to resume retaliatory airstrikes, or even a wider operation similar to the Guardian of the Walls from last year. Meanwhile, on top of security along the southern Israel border, Israeli security forces continuing with activities in Jerusalem and in Judea and Samaria. Overnight Saturday to Sunday alone, Israel reportedly operating in multiple towns including Kalandia, El Bire, Hebron, and Jenin, and at least a dozen terror suspects apprehended, including an individual suspected of assisting his relative, Raed Chazem, who killed 3 Israeli civilians and injured dozens more in a terror attack in Tel Aviv earlier this month. Then back in Jerusalem, for the sake of the so-called status quo, Jewish visitors to the Temple Mount will be restricted until further notice. The move typically made around the last 10 days of Ramadan, which this year ends May 2nd. And as with previous years, it's intended to restore calm, as Palestinian rioters at the compound increasing their riots, calls to violence, and public support for terror groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad. The Temple Mount is considered to be the holiest place in Judaism, as it's the site of the ancient temples, and in the recent years, Jewish hardliners increasingly calling to allow Jewish prayer at the site. Then, during Passover this year, a record of 4,600 Jews coming to visit, many praying quietly to themselves. But today, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is considered the 3rd holiest place in Islam, sits atop of the Temple Mount complex, and under agreements with Muslim religious authorities, Jews are barred from praying there altogether, so any non-Muslim prayer is seen as an affront to the status quo.
ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at iltv.tv and watch from any device.